Live from the basement of the YouTube headquarters, it's the Stacking Benjamin Show. I'm Joe. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and all this week we've been focused on helping you produce your best, most creative, and outstanding work. So today we wrap it up with a roundtable discussion where we ask the question, what can you do to be 1% better every day? That'll bring in the Benjamins. But that's not all. Of course, at the halfway mark, we'll pause to see who's going to win this installment of our year-long money trivia challenge. And now, a guy who never met a money challenge he didn't love, it's Joe Saul-Sehy.
Nothing more fun, Doug, than a money challenge, really to get you focused. You know, a lot of people did the Survivor January with their food, people doing all kinds of no-spend challenges. Like a challenge is a way to maybe be 1% better, which is exactly what we're talking about today. So we're super happy that you're here with us. Sit back and relax. You found us. We are recording this during Snowmageddon across the United States. And Doug, you are not in the basement today. You are a little bit north, eh?
We just call it Friday, Joe. Like it's not. It's in Michigan. This is just a normal January and Friday. Not that big a deal.
It's not like life in Texarkana where
You're
it's
all
called
freaking out.
The 2 days a year that we actually have this stuff. But man, we've got an action-packed show. You know, we'd have our roundtable team now dive into what they do to be 1%. These are busy people. You know, these are not gurus. Well, one of them is on being 1% better all the time, but they're people that have to manage their time well. They have to think about, how do I bring more to the table? So let's start off with a guy across the table who tries to be 1% better. Right now he's working on being a 1% better plumber than he was last week. Mr. OG is here.
This is not the 1% being a 1%er. That's not what I dreamed of. This is not it.
Not the 1%er you're hoping for.
They told me it would be a different thing. Something about taxes and being rich, not.
It can be both, though.
Just in case anybody cares, you should make sure your pool runs when it's freezing for 4 days. Just saying.
You learned the hard way.
We just had an electrical malfunction, and it is all snowballing downhill.
Ah, I see how that works.
Thank you. I'll be here all week, folks.
Doug and I got a photo of OG with a piece of broke plumbing pipe, which looked
2 pieces.
Yes. 2 pieces.
That's not a euphemism
the right
for anything.
and the left. Right.
Yes.
It was actually PVC
full of ice. Yeah, that broke off that side of the house. That was great.
The woman who's had plenty of time to think about this because she's been snowed in for 3 days straight. So she's all about thinking about, how do I get 1% better? Paula Pant is here.
I am here, and I am 1% better at knowing how to deal with the snow. So I saw this machine the other day, and it was like, I've never seen anything like it. Someone was hand pushing it.
It was a truck with a plow on the front. I had no idea.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, I've seen like snow plows, but I've never seen something that they were hand pushing it, and then snow was just like clearing out of the way. It was a hand push plow. Yeah, like a sidewalk plow.
So you're buying one? You're getting your own?
Oh, I don't have I don't have that kind of storage.
Hard pass. No, but you weren't out there in Central Park making snow angels today.
Oh, I would like to go to Central Park. I haven't journeyed that far yet. I've been stuck in the middle of the afternoon. I'm stuck working like a chump.
Oh, geez. How do you get 1% better at not doing that?
Seriously.
That's maybe what we do today. And a guy who spent his career helping other people be 1% better. He's gone to military bases and taught them how to be 1% better. He has worked with tons of people. He also runs TEDx in Omaha, Nebraska. Mr. David Gillis joins us. How are you, man?
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, I'm excited to be here. And I'll say I don't run TEDx, but I'm a speaker coach for them the last 5 years for Omaha. But
I promoted you. The guy who's the brain behind TED.
I know.
It's kind of a big deal if you didn't know. The extraordinaire. But yeah, just living the cold life here in Omaha. It feels like I was stationed back in North Dakota. Like I dropped a can of a Celsius yesterday, and I was going to clean it up, but it immediately froze. It was so cold. It felt like I was like the minus 60 back in North Dakota when I was stationed up there. But this is not normal. I think this is not used to it.
How cold is it in Omaha right now, David?
I think we had some negative temperatures. We haven't got as much snow as it sounds like some of you all have. We got snow, but it is cold. The teeth hurt when you go outside and you laugh at the pain.
I feel like with all this talk about the weather, welcome to Traffic and Weather on the 8s, Doug, with the Stacky Benjamin Show. But David, 1% better, you're so passionate about helping people get 1% better that you said, I'm not stopping with helping people with their next TEDx talk. I'm not stopping with going to military bases and helping people. I'm going to make a conference about it. Tell us about the 1% better conference that's coming up.
Yeah, I think just in my career, I've been somebody who's done a variety of things, from just being in the military and since then teaching classes on communication, decision-making, helping people improve performance. It's really that self-awareness, critical thinking. And I'm kind of a quieter guy in general, and it kind of led me to, figured out I need to get better. I'm going to start teaching these classes. And that led me to helping with TEDx, the local nonprofit, and just amazing people out there. And then I've been doing some money coaching for a while. So it just really is the combination of the financial independence community, the TED community, and just I think everybody is on their own journey in life. And it's so important that we help them through that path. And I think it's such a challenge sometimes when people feel like they're all alone. But I want to create that community that I've enjoyed through those Camp Phis or FinCons or economies or others. But it's just kind of a combination of not fully money related, but it's just about life related. What do you want to do in life, and how do you want to get there?
I like the idea of taking these two passions of yours, the money passion and the getting the self-improvement passion, and fusing them in this unique way. And it's going to be February 21st and 22nd in Omaha. So coming up quick.
Yes. Yep. Coming up quick. And I'm excited for all the speakers coming in. I'm glad you're coming in to be able to talk, Joe. I appreciate that. And I've got some other, some former TED speakers and others talking about resilience, communication. My partner with it is somebody I coached a couple of years ago, and he's a magician, a mentalist, and he's just a great on stage. So it's just kind of think about embracing failure. And I think we all are challenged with that a lot of times, and I think it's always important to kind of set ego aside. And I'm just excited to try new things, and he's going to maybe show some sleight of hand and other things.
You're just going to have him magically make the whole audience 1% better? Is that what you're going to do?
He is, but I think we were all 1% different, better, I guess. I don't know how to say that, but I think
differenter.
He wanted to end his TED talk balancing a spoon on his nose, and it wasn't even just the round part of the spoon. It was the end of the spoon. Oh. And me being a very, I'd say, a risk averse person in general, many times, and it made me nervous. But he's he had learned that over the years, and he ended up balancing a spoon on his nose in this TED talk, and still talked about it, and how learning random things like that, they're not purposeful for life, but he said just learning anything new. I think that's so important, and it kind of sets your mind, it creates openings for new adventures. And sure. I think that I'm excited to do that with him.
The process of learning, the process of getting good at anything. By the way, Doug can balance a spoon as well. He fills it full of food and shoves it in his mouth, and it's amazing how it balances inside his mouth. It's incredible. Yeah,
his stomach and center of gravity
balances it then in his stomach. It's amazing. We got a great show today. We're going to talk about how these fine people, David, Paula, and OG, try to be 1% better. I found a great piece on this, but first we have a couple sponsors who help us keep on keeping on. We're going to hear from them, and then we're going to dive into helping you practice getting 1% better in your life. The inspiration for today, well, heck, it was David coming on and the conference coming up. But I'm like, you know what? We need something to kind of rally around, a piece that we can talk about. This comes to us from betterup.com. How to improve yourself every day. 20 ways to be better. And I know, Paula, you're doing like a 50-day thing right now, aren't you?
I am.
50 days to be better with your money, or 50 ways to leave your money worries behind.
52 weeks. So it's a year-long thing where you do one thing a week, every week of the year in order to improve with your money.
The same type of principle, but we take one and we kind of practice it for a week and hopefully we build a little muscle. But looking at the 20 ways to improve yourself every day, diving into these, did you like any of these or did you have kind of a different take on where to begin your task of getting better at something?
Yeah, I loved them. I mean, I think that, a lot of these tips, I mean, they talk about not doing things that drain you, doing less of what drains you, doing more of what energizes you. They talk about getting good rest and eating nutritious food and going outside to touch grass. And it's like a lot of it sounds very basic, but it is a reminder to get back to the basics because it can be so easy to forget about it. I mean, like we just talked about, I live right by Central Park. We've got this beautiful snowstorm. Have I gone to Central Park in the last 2 days? No, that's a failure to get outside and touch grass, or in this case, snow.
Yeah. But I think I want to start with that first one that you mentioned, because that one hit me hard too. It's number 14 on this list. By the way, if you don't have it in front of you, Stacker, don't worry about it. We will put it on our show notes page at stackingbenjamins.com, but we're going to describe these as we go. But this idea, Paula, of limiting activities that drain you, it seems like every time I've worked with a coach, but my main coach, Mary Lou, and I, when we meet 3 times a month, the very first thing we always focus on is eliminating energy drainers. Like that is her first, before we talk about additive, we talk about what's draining you and how do we get that crap out of your life. It is so, I don't know if the word's insidious or just, it's horrible when you got this energy drainer out there, like getting rid of that changes the game. How do you try to limit your energy drainers?
So I've personally found that the majority of my energy draining comes from various screen time activities. So social media is, of course, the big one. But then when I use the Freedom app. When I block social media from my phone, I just substitute that with some other drain. So if I don't have social media, then I'm binge reading the news. And then when I set a timer on that and block that from myself, I've limited it to 12 minutes a day now. Then I set that timer and I block that for myself. But then it's the next thing. Cal Newport had talked about how one of his students, when he challenged his students to do this, he eventually limited thing after thing after thing until one of his students just started obsessively checking the weather app. And
because it was all that was left.
Yeah, exactly.
But the weather in Boise right now, just so you guys know.
I haven't been to Tokyo in a while. Let's see what the weather's like over there.
Yeah.
She's spamming the Ring social app. There's a dog loose.
What's this app, Paula, that you're talking about? Because a lot of our stackers maybe haven't used it.
Oh, okay. It's called Freedom, and Freedom allows you to block apps from yourself. So I have it set up for Instagram, Threads. I've taken Twitter off my phone entirely. So Instagram, Threads. What's the third one? I never go on Facebook anymore. Twitter is desktop, laptop only. Insta, Threads. There's one other one. I've blocked those 3 from myself. And I alternate with the way that I set it up. So there have been times in the past where I only have a window from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. And that is the only possible window of time in which I can use it. And I don't set a calendar reminder for that. And so typically what'll happen is I'll look at the clock and it's 9:07 and I'm like, darn, missed the window for today.
Can't do it till tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. That means I have to wait for another 23 hours until that window reopens. And so for a long time, I had it set up like that.
I think that's cool. Sometimes the friction is the key. By not having the calendar reminder to check social media, then it creates even more friction, which helps push it out of your life.
Exactly. Recently, I decided to just hard block all of them. So about a week ago, I just completely blocked myself from Instagram entirely. So it's 24 hours a day. It's done.
No more.
And my friend Nomadic Matt, who's probably been on the show, what he does is he deletes the apps. And then whenever he wants to use it, he re-downloads it.
A little barrier to entry, I guess.
That totally is, OG. I was thinking the same thing.
And so by re-download, then he has to put in the username, put in the password. There's like all this friction when you re-download the app back onto your phone. So he says he'll do that. Like if he's going to the gym and he wants to like use the app between sets, he will actually re-download an app just for that.
Yeah.
But
that's fabulous.
Like, you know, few and far between.
David, this idea of energy drainers, I have to believe that you hear this quite often, that social media, huge energy drainer for a big part of your community.
I think it is for everybody in the world now. I mean, it is life. It is social media is out there, but it's taking control, I think is what we're talking about here, is not letting it control us. And I did have that marked down, the limit activities that drain you, like Paula mentioned. There's the opposite one that identify activities that energize you.
Yeah.
There's the yin and the yang there. And I like to think of it as, you have that energy vampire. The vampire would like to suck that energy out of you, the people or things. But there's also the opposite. I would say there's energy, like a fire hose, like in a good way. Like it helps you kind of energize you. It builds you up. It kind of makes sure that you don't have some type of flame out or burnout. And it's try to find those things that kind of help you move toward that better. I think that's the challenge.
I want to get back to what that is in your life, but on energy drainers, besides social media, what drains you when you find that? What in your life is something where you're like, you know what, I got to get rid of this?
I think I am somebody who says yes too often. And I think that's something I've had to have a challenge with. I think there's people that say yes too much and people that say no too much. And I've been both of those in my life. But recently, I think it's about prioritizing. It's the whole, like the checklist or to-do list. To-do list, everybody write their to-do list. I like to-do list, but they're not prioritized and they're not organized. You're not leading them. They lead you, and you get that little dopamine hit. Like sometimes I've even like written out something I've already done, and then so I could line it out. So it's something give me that little dopamine hit. It's crazy, but it's who I am.
I should eat breakfast. Just did it. Bam.
Yes.
Cha-ching.
Start out well. So I think it's just being aware of what I'm saying yes to. I add things that aren't even on the agenda that too often. So try to use some AI, some ChatGPT to say, okay, help me prioritize things or whatever it is. It's how do I do things that build me up and don't bring me down.
It's interesting because like I think about sometimes the money decisions that we make often end up being money drainers, not because of the money we spend on it, but the time commitment that it also entails. Like as an example, anybody who's been a fan of the show for any length of time knows my board game addiction. When you buy a game, you're not just spending the money for the game, you're committing hours of your life to this activity, which means all the other activities then get squeezed out. You know what I mean? And so I think often we think things are a money decision when they truly could be a time decision. And I'm saying yes to this new time commitment, which could be far bigger than I had originally thought that it was. Oh, gee. I know that when it comes to social media, you X that one off. I know that when saying yes to things, you block out very clearly. Heck, you and I are partners on the podcast and you'll go, hey, it's family time. Can't answer you now. I'll talk to you later. Like you very clear about those boundaries. But what still is
just with you, by the way, everybody else. Paula texts me all the time. I'm like, hey, babe, what's up? So are you having dinner? I don't want to interrupt dinner with the family. I'm like, no, it's cool.
No, it's great. I'll talk to you anytime, Paula. Yeah. What's something that's still draining you that you're trying to get rid of?
I can't let you say that I got rid of social because I did very consciously. The 1st of November was my 3-year anniversary of not being on it. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to go back on it, which is like a heroin addict being like, I know this is really bad, but damn, it was good when it was good. So I'm going to get some more. And to this day, still find myself just shake. I mean, because I'll play on Instagram or on LinkedIn. I don't have Facebook or Twitter, but I said the other day, I was reading something on LinkedIn and I was like, these are all the same things that everyone else is saying over and over and over and over again. Like obviously on LinkedIn, there's a bunch of financial people that I follow or that are in my feed. And that's just kind of the group that I'm in. And if I saw one post about things you should do in January with your money, I saw 700 of them. And I was like, this is so ridiculous. And at the same time, I saw a comment, I don't remember where it was from, if it was a podcast or something, but it said, it was basically alluding to the fact that you spend all of your time and energy listening to content that you already agree with. And instead of trying to find content that you disagree with, just for no other reason than just to like hear a different side of something, whatever that thing may be, you know, and it could be something like money. It could be something, you know, like politics or religion or, you know, or social issues or whatever the case would be. So I'm very consciously now in the process of going back to what Paula said and just like deleting everything again, because it's just such a time suck. I think for me, the biggest piece outside of that, which is I think probably true for a lot of people, the social media stuff, for me, it's really kind of around relationships, you know, and I think we spend a lot of time with people, or we have the propensity to spend a lot of time with people that we've always spent time with and don't necessarily sit back and go, am I here just because I like being here? Or am I here because we're all rowing the boat in the same direction and we can pick each other up or whatever the case may be? And that could be something, you know, again, back to money. It could be your money group of people and you are, you know, all talking about the same stuff, or you're all dealing with the same stuff and you don't really have any vision for what the future looks like. It could be something around like health, where it's like all of us are not exercising and we all talk about, you know, instead of like hanging out with bodybuilders, you know, like that would change your perspective on that pretty quickly. I read something the other day about Warren Buffett was so against losing money that his weight control plan was he wrote his kids checks and said, if I don't weigh this by this date, I will sign the check. And that was his motivation to like, because his kids were like, Dad, you should have some cake. You should have some brownies. You should have some ice cream. And he was like, I can say no to that so much easier when I know there's a defined amount on the line, you know? And I thought that was pretty interesting. So,
but that would be negative feedback all day from your family. Dad, a donut?
Donuts are good.
I need a donut.
Really yummy. I think just reevaluating like with whom you spend your time in different areas. And just being cognizant of it, I think, is more important than anything, right? We all have relationships that have been around for a long time, you know, friends or whatever the case may be, that, you know, it's good and comfortable, but it's not growing, you know? So you got to be really, really cognizant of that, or just be okay with it, right? Just be like, I'm good with this. I like hanging out with this person. I know we're not solving, you know, the world's problems in these conversations. I got a different group for that.
Yeah, but you know, going in, you're like, okay, this is the way this relationship's going to go. It's not a piece of like lifting me up. It's funny because my coach also would bring this up, OG, which was clusters of misery. Like she was like, actively stay away from people who are clusters of misery, she'd call them.
That's a great word.
That's why you don't call me anymore.
Yeah. It's really hard because whatever topic, we just use money because we're talking about money. But if you're struggling with money, or maybe you didn't get the bonus you thought, or you didn't get the pay raise you thought, or you didn't get the promotion you needed or wanted, or you know what I mean? Like it's pretty easy to kind of have a little bit of a pity party with that. And that's fine, right? Like you can have that. But then when you get like 2 or 3 people around that like group think of like, yeah, you're right, man. This totally sucks, man. We should, this place, you know, blows, and, you know, Bob's an idiot, and like all this other sort of stuff. It's like that mob mentality really, really, really escalates quickly. And if you don't catch it, it just spirals bad in a hurry.
It's what happens on social media, right? Because it feeds us stuff that we're already inclined to think. Yeah. So then we get that group think, but in real life, it's so much worse because now we're getting that interpersonal,
that reinforcement. It's,
that
quick your buddy who also didn't get promoted isn't going to be like, well, you know, if we worked a little bit harder next year, maybe we could, you know, there's not going to be like logic in that conversation. It's going to be all like, yeah, man, you deserve it, and you got screwed, and that's not good either.
David, you mentioned the fire hose, like things that light you up, right? Things that are exciting. This has to go for people that light you up and people that are exciting too.
I fully agree. Like with OG and talking about the relationships is so important. And I mean, I spent my career in the military, and that was my circle of people that I hung out with most of the time. And then, but since then, I think I've really got involved with other organizations and other people. And I think it seems like as you get older, either you go internal and don't add to your list of people that you hang out with, or you go the opposite. And I think I've really gone the opposite, even like with these TED Talks or people that I've helped with, the nonprofit. I mean, I'm coaching from a doctor who teaches improv comedy to somebody who has dementia, somebody who's in prison, to somebody PhD in microbiology, orchestra conductor. I mean, it's really, I think, opened my mind to other circles and other ideas. And the algorithm, as some were alluding to, is the social media algorithm, everything online. It feeds on what they think you like. But I think it's about being, I'd say, purposeful, being proactive. And I mean, it's really, really raised me up, and being around just amazing people doing amazing things. And I think I'm just very lucky to be able to be part of that organization and just people that are doing good things. Even the financial independence community, there's people, it's not necessarily just about money topics. It's about life topics. It's about what do you want to be when you grow up? I mean, that's what I'm 50 years old and I'm still thinking about that. And it's fun to think about to me, just to kind of raise each other up.
Just watching you from afar, David, and the little bit that we've gotten to know each other, it seems like that is very intentional. Like you're pushing yourself to do things that are pushing the envelope, which kind of, it seems like, excites you and makes you want to get out of bed in the morning, to be intentional about learning these new skills. But do you remember where that came from or where that started? Like, was there a first mover when you were maybe a teenager in your 20s, or heck, maybe even 40s, where you went, wow, by tackling these new skills, I got a bigger reason to get out of bed in the morning?
I think I've had multiple pivot points in my life that some good, some not so good, or even just leaving the military. It wasn't something I had planned at the moment. It was something, early retirement was offered, and I wasn't planning on retiring at the 15-year point. But I was given the option to do that. And then I still had some debt, and I felt out of control in that moment. It was like, I don't know what to do and how to go to where I want to be. And I remember taking some personality tests, and I was like very hardline, introvert and quiet. I was the quiet kid on the bus growing up who didn't talk. I mean, that was my life. It was frustrating to not get things that I wanted, and not be able to speak my truth. And so I started just going to different Toastmaster clubs. It's a speech club to help me learn to speak better. I started teaching and being around people that are doing great things. I mean, even took improv comedy classes to try to kind of be in the moment, because I'm very analytical. I'm like very organized, and saying I need to plan things out. And you can't do that in improv. You can have some practice, but it's about being in the moment, about supporting each other. And it's a very positive community in the improv community also. So
I think it's really cool and so healthy to go, you know what, this is not my natural reaction, is to do improv. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do improv. Like, Paula, you're taking comedy classes right now. And I think about hearing your stories about comedy classes. Like, talk about also pushing the envelope on something that, don't get me wrong, I've always thought you've got a good sense of humor, but comedy's like next level.
Yeah, stand-up comedy is completely different than anything I've ever done before, because I feel like I can be funny in conversation when there's that back and forth, but to stand up at a microphone... Doug's like, as someone who has conversed with you.
As long as there's a drink in your hand, Paula, you're comedy gold.
or Doug, a drink in your hand, then she's comedy gold.
Exactly.
Right.
But to stand at a microphone and monologue, right, without anyone, without there being any kind of an interplay, that is a completely different skill set. But that's been cool. And David, to your point, like there are plenty of people who are in the class who are similar to you, like kind of shy. They've never really been on stage before necessarily, never done any public speaking. So, and that's the reason that they signed up. And then you've got the far other end of the pendulum. You've got the class clown, who is the extrovert and like the over extrovert, and is always cracking people up. And all of their friends taught him, like, you should be a stand-up comedian. And so you've got this combination of like both sides of the extreme, are all in the same class together, learning from each other and playing off each other and doing the same shows together. It's very cool.
That's cool. Just learning from people that aren't like you and trying to push yourself to do something a little bit different. And oh my goodness, I just think about like if joke one doesn't go over when you're on stage, because if joke one goes over, then it's a little bit like the ball rolling downhill. But if joke one doesn't go over, trying to stay in it and not have any memory of that until the next one, like it's going to be hilarious. Man, it's so hard.
Right.
Yeah. You're right, Joe. Ask me how I know.
Because joke one's never funny. Is that what you're saying?
That first joke doesn't go in the first episode, man. Rough.
The other thing that that was an unexpected benefit. So I went to, there's this comedy club in New York. They had a holiday party, and almost every single person I met, their first question was, "Oh, are you a comedian?" It wasn't, "Oh, what do you do for a living?" It was, "Oh, are you a comedian?" And I mean, it was because the holiday party of a comedy club, a lot of the people there are professional comedians, but I had never been in an environment where that was the default assumption.
Wow.
And so being in that kind of an environment where the assumption is that you're a professional doing this thing that's actually very, very difficult to be a professional in, it was a cool renormalizing of what could be possible.
Paula, you obviously had to have said, "No, I'm a finance blogger and podcaster." And they went, "Good one."
Who
would do that?
My response whenever they said, "Are you a comedian?" I was like, "I'm comedy curious." And they're like, "What do you do?" And I'm like, "I'm a podcaster." And then they look really excited and they're like, "What do you podcast about?" And I'm like, "Finance." and
it's gone.
You could just watch their face fall. Like, oh. Yeah.
It is funny though. I mean, part of becoming 1% better, I think, is being that thing that you say that you're working at. Like David, you help people become a speaker. Like instead of saying I'm working at speaking, I am a speaker. I'm working at comedy. I am a comedian. A comedian I was watching on social media yesterday said that. He said early on in his career, he kept telling people, "Well, I'm trying to get into comedy. I'm trying to get into comedy." He goes, "When I changed my mindset, and instead of saying I'm trying to get into comedy, I said, I am a comedian." You know what happened? I became a comedian. Like I am a comedian. So I think there's that aspect too. Just absolutely own it. We're going to dive into, and I hope already, Stackers, you've gotten a lot out of this, because I think beginning with this idea of getting rid of those energy drainers, those clusters of misery, are so important in being better, so you can clear the way for growth. But then second, then starting to look at the people that light you up and the things that light you up. And we're going to dive into some of those in the second half of today's show. But at the halfway point of every Stacking Benjamins episode, we have trivia. And on Fridays, we have a year-long trivia competition between our three frequent contributors, Paula, OG, and Jesse Kramer. And David, today, you're team Jesse Kramer, which means some good news and some bad news. Which one do you want first, David?
Let's go with the good news.
Well, the good news is you are tied for the lead, my friend. So you have 1 point. OG has 1 point. And shock of shocks, Paula is behind, which for those of you that are new here, I know that's shocking to you because Paula is incredibly smart. But when it comes to trivia, she's trusted her gut way too. Paula, you got to go back and listen to our Monday show about trusting your gut. And you probably shouldn't do that. Just saying.
Last week, we flat out told her, whatever your gut is about to tell you, do the opposite. And she didn't do it. So today, maybe it's going to change. In fact, we record these live on YouTube, and Dividend Gypsy hanging out with us said, Team Paula, hashtag this time is different. So maybe everybody has dreams. Dividend Gypsy. But so we have a new construct this year, if you're familiar with our trivia, or even if you're not, which is our frequent contributors can do something called a margin call. So at any time during the time that Doug is giving his trivia question, somebody can say margin call against someone that has a point. And if the person that gets margin called does not win the trivia that week, they lose a point. And on the other side, if you say margin call and
the person does get it right, they are the winner of trivia. Well, then the person that called margin call gets the margin call and they lose a point. Yes. So, David, you're going to guess first because Jesse is our current champion. OG's going to guess second. Paula gets the benefit. She's had the benefit over and over, and it still hasn't helped, of guessing last. But we need a trivia question. So, Doug, what's going on on this day in history?
Hey there, stackers. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and today we celebrate the birthday of the president responsible for the biggest social program in U.S. history, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Of course, Roosevelt was president during incredibly turbulent times between World War II, a nation struggling financially and social upheaval. It's amazing how alike we are. In fact, I'm working on this podcast. The struggle is so real, people. It's so real. And at the grocery store yesterday, somebody asked me, paper or plastic? I know! It's like, do I have to make all the decisions around here? For God's sake, somebody else step in and be responsible. But the Social Security has helped tons of Americans experience at least a little retirement. Here's today's question. As of 2024, what amount was the average monthly Social Security check a recipient received? Recipient received. It's like a whole double. Anyway, I'll be back in just a moment. This Social Security talk's got me thinking maybe Joe's mom could give us an allowance for all the work we do around here. For all the work we do around here, Ma. God.
That may not end well for Doug, but while he's asking about getting an allowance, we'll ask you this question. David, you're up first. Average Social Security check in 2024 for a recipient?
It's like being born on third base, David. Don't screw this up. You showed up here out of the blue, and you've already got practically a lead, so you can nail this.
I don't want to get Jesse mad at me, too. We're talking about I don't want him to Hulk out on me and get angry like he gets
Jesse
all the time. Yeah, so
just
an angry
such
guy.
an angry dude all the time.
Oh, that's a good one. I mean, and I don't want to brag or anything, but I tied for third place in a bar trivia contest recently. So there was at least 4 teams in there, and I had my wife answering questions for me. So I don't want to brag or intimidate anybody. So the average monthly Social Security in 2024, I'm not quite to that age yet. I'm getting close. I should figure this stuff out. I will go with $2,700.
$2,700. OG, what do you think about that answer?
I think it's very reasonable for somebody that hasn't looked into Social Security yet. So it seems a little high. Average in 2024, I think the average is a little closer to $1,834.
$1,834. So he's going a little lower, David, than you went. Oh boy, Paula, it's that time.
Oh no. Okay.
2,700 for David, 1,834 for OG.
Oof. Ouch. All right. So when I heard the question, my gut.
Who cares what your gut?
Yeah. This is important. We need to know exactly what the gut is so we know if she went in the other direction or not.
Exactly. The gut said somewhere between 2,000 to 3,000. That was my initial gut response.
But that's where David is.
I could anchor off of either of those guesses and capture most of that range.
You just think all you want, Paula. You just take all the time you need. You just go right ahead. We'll wait.
Yeah. No one's doing anything for the next hour, are they?
Nope.
Jesse, by the way, hanging out with us live on YouTube. He's on Team David right now.
Team David, Team Jesse, Team Hulk.
We've got all caps.
You can do it.
Okay. I'm going to go against my gut and say 1835.
1835. 5 takes the top end of the middle, or the bottom half of the middle between 1834 and 2700. All right.
Yeah.
That's the way we play.
The anti-gut choice.
Let's see. Why? What was your gut?
The gut was between 2,000 to 3,000. So I would have gone like 26.99, kind of anchor in that middle 2,000s.
Gotcha. Okay. We will see if Paula's gut it was right or if we have a different winner. We'll be right back. David, you kicked this off with $2,700, and Paula thinks you're right in there, but OG certainly doesn't. Do you feel confident?
Well, from being the first time here, and when I'm hearing saying Paula, and you need to go opposite of your gut, so I'm your gut. So is that? I'm not sure what that means, but but maybe it's high. I need to start researching. I guess a little bit. I don't.
You got
know
some
exactly.
time. You're 50. You're good.
Been closer. Was this saying that the days are long, but the years are short? I think it's coming along. Yeah.
It is sad how quickly that escalator moves. OG, 1834, but Paula took the upside. You feeling good?
Yeah, I think Paula's got it.
Oh, wait, what? Paula? You liking that?
Yeah, I thought it was like 1850. It's like 1850 or 1900 or something like that. It's right there. You did say 2024, so maybe there's some big increase in 25 that I'm not thinking about, but I think Paula's a lot closer.
Well, and someone in the chat, someone said, "Hey, go right in the middle." Go right in the middle. And I hadn't thought about that. That would have also been a good strategy.
It's funny because it's rarely a good strategy, but maybe on this one, who knows? We need an answer, Doug. We need answers. So why are we turning to Doug? I don't know, but Doug, give us the answer, man.
You want answers? You can't handle the answers, Joe. Hey there, stackers. I'm Guy who asks the questions and Guy who gets shot down when he asks for an allowance. Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug. I know what you're thinking. Allowance at your age, Doug? And to that I say, I am several months younger than that question implies. And second, if a teenager who does Zippo to help the family and talk smack 24/7 gets an allowance, why would I not get a little something? Know what I'm saying? Maybe I don't feel like taking out the garbage, Ma. You ever think about that? Well, enough about me. Today, we're chatting about Social Security because it's Freddie D's B-Day. Social Security stats are incredible. I mean, Social Security represents about 30% of the average recipient's income. Over 67 million people receive some form of benefit. And, of course, Social Security isn't just retirement. It provides important life insurance and disability insurance protection for millions. But today's question was this: how much was the average monthly Social Security check in 2024? The answer? Well, I think you know how we do this by now, stackers. The answer is $912.92 less than what David/Jesse chose. It's $47.92 less than what Paula guessed, and just $46.92 less than what OG guessed, because the correct answer is $1,787.08, making OG our winner.
OG taking home the prize.
Son of a...
Sorry, Jesse.
So close.
Wow. This means both my gut and my first anti-gut choice were wrong.
We're both wrong.
Right? We're both wrong. They both were wrong.
Your third gut and third breakfast next time.
Be like a cow and have 4 guts.
Four guts. Yeah.
And just like last week, Paula misses it by $2. Mrs. winning by $2.
I'm nothing if not consistent.
She's always right there. How many second places has Paula had, Doug? A ton of them. All right. OG taking home the win. Congratulations. You have an acceptance speech?
No.
Okay. All right. And Jesse hanging out with us live says, cue the Empire Strikes Back music. There it is. All right. So let's dive back into this topic. David, pick one of the other things that they had in this piece that said are some of the ways that you can maybe improve yourself every day that really spoke to you.
There's one called Do Inner Work. I think that's very interesting. I think it does handle a lot of things that we've talked a little bit about already, but I mean, really it's about like self-awareness. And I don't think there's enough thought on self-awareness in our lives. We don't know like what we believe and why we believe it. There's, I mean, the scripts that people were told us growing up to the scripts that we tell ourselves, or like, I am a comedian, that what we just talked about earlier from Paula, just like the talking about ourselves in the first person. I think it's so empowering. I do like that discussion. I've tried to use that some because like when I doing the improv or doing TED, I'm a speaker coach. I never thought I'd be doing something like that, or just in life. It's really about understanding ourselves and good self-awareness, understanding our blind spots too. And I think that's by like being around people that kind of help you with those blind spots and people that you care about and that care about you that are helping you through that process. So I don't think there's enough of, I'd say, self-reflection through meditation for yourself or looking back how you did this past year or whatever it is. But I think doing inner work, I think that there's a lot of different layers to that has intrigued me.
Yeah, I think, Paula, we often look for this external stimuli when everything we need is right inside of us.
Yeah. The skill set of like letting your mind go quiet, like silencing the chatter, it's really difficult. And I think a lot of people don't, if they haven't tried it, it's hard to recognize how difficult it is because it's not visible. But it's actually that silencing the chatter can be one of the hardest things.
OG, on this list, which one really lit you up?
Well, you guys kind of all took mine already, so none of them. I think there's a handful in here, and I've been pretty vocal about this, but paying attention to your own health and wellness and well-being. I think a lot of that stuff is intertwined. The vast majority of America gets this wrong, and probably the world. I can, just vouch for Americans, but, in our world, it seems like you have to work, really, 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 really hard. And then maybe if you're lucky, you can reward yourself after that hard work with a little bit of time off. And we all know, like, we've taken long vacation, long weekends, right? Like the 3-day weekend, the 4-day, it never really feels like it's time off. And I think the studies say you need to be completely out for 7 days before you actually get the benefit of the R&R, the vacation. But I think if you spin that around and say, in order to work really hard, I had to have had time off. I had to have had energy and, be able to be creative in my role. I think that puts a little different spin on, the time that you do spend time not doing the thing that you do for work or for your general vocation. And not everybody can do that. That's a nice to have, like, scheduling your vacations first and then letting your boss know when you might be available to work. Like I recognize that's not a thing that most people do.
I've tried that.
Yeah. But for those that can, I think it's really important. And I think that even if you can't, you can really be particular about that. All the studies of people who, have unused PTO time at the end of the year, who don't take all their sick and personal days and that sort of thing. And when you do take that time, make sure you take that time to completely try to detox yourself from the work stuff. Because like Paula said, when you're trying to be creative, when you're trying to think up new solutions to problems, which frankly, that's kind of the job description of everything that everybody does, right? Solve problems for other people. Whether you're a car manufacturer, you're a computer scientist, you're a professor, you're a financial planner, you're trying to solve this problem that affects a certain amount of people that I'm trying to fix and make it easier for them. So in order to have that creativity, if you believe like I do, you have to have that rest and relaxation. Making sure that you adhere to that is super important. And all that other stuff goes with it too. So when it's time for you to choose what to eat, there's some pieces in there about nutrition. It's like, choose the healthy food. when you have time in there to be outside or exercise, make sure you get that. I call it outdoor rec time. It's so easy, especially work from home. Paul, you just said, I haven't been outside, I haven't left my apartment in 3 days, right? Like that can easily turn into a week if you're not careful because, you got everything you need. And, it takes a lot of energy to go get bundled up to go stand outside in the freezing cold, or in the summer, the other way, right? If it's 100 degrees out in Dallas, you're like, I can't go outside. It's 100 degrees. So all that stuff kind of works together, I think, in terms of your just like personal wellness, whether you look at it from a physical standpoint, working out, or, health interior, like eating good food. And then, the R&R component of it, of giving yourself space in order to be able to be creative later.
Unplug.
So, yeah, all of that is kind of related.
Some of these statistics in this piece, I think people don't realize, OG, to your point, just how important these are. According to a study published in the International Journal of Environmental Research Public Health, spending just 15 minutes in a forest can decrease negative feelings like anxiety, fatigue, anger, and depression. And I don't even know that.
Has anybody been in a forest?
Yes.
That's
very 100% accurate.
It's 100% accurate.
You were in different forests than me for different reasons, I suppose.
I wasn't doing like military training at the time. Right.
Looking out for bears.
Yeah. I'm not exactly sure.
Yelling at me.
It's like my kids the other day were like, Dad, we should go outside. It's really fun. I'm like, well, you didn't do winter training in Northern Canada. So let me tell you a little something about being outside right now. It sucks. TLDR. It's awful.
Walking among trees, it says, was found to be more effective for decreasing negative feelings of walking down a city street. Paula, so you talk about Central Park not being that far for you, just going.
It's an outdoor rec time, Paula.
Especially, fun fact, hemlocks and pines. They release chemicals. It's why you feel so much more serene if you happen to be in a pine forest than even just a hardwood forest. So if you have an opportunity to find coniferous forests, would strongly recommend you will notice a difference, and it happens very fast.
That.
Googling like coniferous forest near me.
Yes,
deciduous.
KANIF.
I don't need that tree. That tree is a crap tree. I need a different tree.
I mean, just sunshine, honestly, right? Like there's all this stuff about just getting sunshine and snorting pine needles. That's like level 2.
Drinking hemlock.
Drinking some hemlock.
Drinking hemlock. And on Stay Hydrated, research published in the World Journal of Psychiatry found that drinking plain water is linked to a decreased risk of anxiety and depression in adults.
Also,
gives you more energy.
Does that.
I was going to say drinking distilled.
Some people like hops flavored water. In fact, might do the opposite. One that's on here, which makes a lot of sense. I mean, starting journaling is one, which I know helps a lot of people get 1% better, because I think, David, that helps you do inner work. But reading more books is on here. And when it comes to books that can help you be better, be 1% better, what's one of your favorite books that has helped you be 1% better?
I've tried to pick up my reading over the last few years. And when I say reading, it's more audiobooks. That seems like that's been my go-to, because I don't just sit down and read. But as I picked it up and increased the numbers the last few years, I think there's one by the Annie Duke, The Thinking in Bets. Mm-hmm. I mean, she goes back to some of the Daniel Kahneman books and the Thinking Fast and Slow. But I think it's very interesting to think about things from a different angle that we don't always think about. And I always liked watching some poker and just crazy things to think through, of just even like poker. Like you can start with the best hand in Texas Hold'em, pocket aces, but go against somebody with the worst possible hand, 2-7, and you're winning like 88% of the time. So you lose 12% of the time with the best hand or with the worst hand. Am I saying that right?
Don't measure the outcome, measure the process and the percentage chance.
Right. And I think that's kind of helped me, that and some other ones about think through. It's not just based on the outcome based, as you said. Like you can have the worst decisions and come with the best outcome, and it just reinforces that negative. So then it's going to hit you down the road. But if you're going to do the opposite, if you're going to focus on the process, I think that was one I enjoyed not too long ago.
We interviewed Annie for that book, and I think, Paula, you did too, right?
Yes. Yeah, I did.
But let's go to a different book, Paula, that you like, that has helped you be 1% better. What's a good one?
This is a funny answer for this, but 48 Laws of Power. Because that book really illustrates the world not as you want it to be, but the world as it is, and helps you understand, I think, the way that people operate so that you can just have better situational awareness and more effectively operate within it. So that it's a very tell it like it is type of a book about the rules of power, about how people act and react in specific situations.
What's one good takeaway from that you really like?
So there's one, for example, it's never outshine the master. Sometimes you think that you're being really helpful, but if you overdo it, that might make other people feel insecure. And if you accidentally trigger somebody else's insecurity, and if they have a higher rank or position than you, then that can actually come back negatively on you.
Quit is the name of the book.
So don't outshine Joe. Sebastian the master, is he? Don't outshine.
Yeah.
No truer words have ever been spoken.
Right. Oh my God. Absolutely.
Hell hath no fury.
Hey, Joe, while you get like a podcast host score.
Easy. Easy.
You guys are always talking about some of these, what I categorize as self-help books. And I don't mean that pejoratively, but I don't read a lot of those. It's just not my thing. They don't resonate with me, but I try to read, whether it's fiction or historical books, and try to find empowering kinds of messages there. And a book that came to mind as soon as you asked the question was called Indestructible by John Brunning. And it's about an American pilot in the Philippines at the start of World War II. And I won't take you through the whole plot, but the takeaway for me was there is, and Ogiel will, I think, agree with this because he's talked about this at length over the years. There is always something more you can do. And it also sort of jibes with something I thought of earlier as you were talking about a comedian. There's one that you and I both love named Jimmy Carr, he's turned into more of a philosopher now than a comedian, a little bit of both. But I loved when he said, the thing you want is on the other side of the thing you don't want to do. And I think that really fits in with this book called Indestructible. So you asked about books that we've learned something from recently. Strongly recommend people check that out.
David, you've referenced your military background. It was the Air Force, right?
Yes, Air Force.
Yeah. Are you familiar with this book?
Indestructible? No. I mean, there's plenty other, I can't remember the names of them, some Navy SEAL books and others that.
Yeah, you'd love this, David. I didn't realize you had an Air Force background. This is a guy whose family was taken captive by the Japanese in the Philippines. And while he was flying senior American officials around, and it wasn't the Air Force at the time, of course, but military officials around, he was the entire time plotting to figure out, how do I get my family out of this prison camp? And so he started inventing new aircraft and new armaments for aircraft on these planes, only for the purpose of trying to figure out how to get his family out of a prison camp. And it's fascinating what you are capable of if you're properly motivated.
OG, book you love.
Take your pick.
Harry Potter? No.
Yeah, we have tons of them up here.
You referenced the War of Art quite a bit.
I gave that to my kid actually this year. He asked for something to read at school that wasn't a textbook. So Stephen Pressfield wrote that, as well as Do the Work as kind of a subsequent one to that. Those are really good. I like Doug's perspective on this of something that's not a business book or not a, self-help book. So I'm going to go with 1776 by David McCullough.
So good.
First of all, if you think you've got it bad, go read about what life was like in the 1774, 75. But then, if you're George Washington, if you're anybody over there at that time, but then to kind of take a step back, and since you know the outcome, to look at the amount of intestinal fortitude that it took to keep on doing the rebellious stuff that they were doing, right? Like trying to go toe to toe with the British, getting their faces kicked in, day after day, week after week, and with no food and no money and no resources, and no one would help you. Like, you go to you get into a city, you're like, hey, we're the rebels. We just need some like food and shelter. And people are like, to hell with you, man. I'm not getting in trouble with the British. Like, y'all figure it out. So now we know the end of the story. And so you go, oh, well, of course it was easy. We won. It's like, yeah, we weren't winning. Like, it was like right at the edge of not winning. Like,
right up until the moment they won, they were not
until
winning.
The last second we were losing. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And the amount of belief, whether you believe in higher powers or you don't, it's still pretty wild to think about all those people that coalesced in one particular area in the world at one particular time, all with one singular focus.
That would be a great audiobook, by the way.
I'm sure they have it. Yeah.
I'm
Are you in it, or you're downloading it now?
I'm buying it right now. Just hit the confirm button.
Yeah,
Ta-da!
That story is so well told that I think doing that as a story while you're walking or whatever would be fantastic. Reading it's great, but I think audiobook wise, that would be a great one. I love that book. The one that I keep coming back to, I was thinking about which one of these books do I come back to? Almost like The War of Art, OG, that you keep coming back to that one. And this is a book by Jim Loehr and Tony Schwartz called The Power of Full Engagement. Came out a long time ago. But it's just this idea of don't manage your time, manage your energy, and learning to be like a tennis player who has all kinds of different events going on all the time, but you can't show up for everything equally. So finding those key times when you really got to show up, and then prepping for those times through your nutrition and your workouts, and making sure that you are peaking at the right time. I love this idea of managing your energy and not your time. I feel like when I try to manage time, I end up in this cesspool of trying to be efficient every moment. But the idea that you give that away and you go, no, there's these important moments in my life where I need to be there, and I'm going to prep for those moments. Much, much better way to manage things. So The Power of Full Engagement, old book that I come back to a lot. All right. I hope everyone that helped you get 1% better today, and that you are off and running on your journey. I love that conversation, guys. Thank you so much. Let's find out before we say goodbye, though, what's happening where you all are. And David, I want to talk about the 1% Better Conference, but we'll do that last. We'll find out first. OG, what do you got going on this weekend now that we're on the other side of Snowmageddon, or Ice-mageddon, I guess, here in Texas?
Are we? Technically, we might be right back into it. What's going on this weekend? This weekend is a little milestone for me. Something is going on. Nothing that I'm going to share, but a little bit of a milestone. And then I'm getting ready to go skiing. I'm going skiing next week. Yeah, so I'm
fantastic.
Doing a little bit of just a little me time.
It's one of those times. A lot of activities you say break a leg, but Doug, and skiing, that's not one where you say break a leg.
Ideally, no, not so much.
Not good. Yeah. Not what we're looking for there.
Though, I mean, I've seen OG ski. He's very capable of doing that.
Very capable of getting yelled at.
I don't want to go down that road again. I do not want to.
I will point out though that Doug just did ask me today. Hey, so what are your skiing? What's your skiing plans? You got any room for pictures? Are you doing anything? What are you doing next week? And is there room at the? Can I come?
Cluster of misery, Doug. We talked about clusters of misery. Not sure why you're doing that.
OG is frequently in the eye of that cluster for me.
Don't know where you're going. Paula Pant, what's going on at Afford Anything this week or this month?
Colin Roche was on the show. We did a 2-part series with him. So he wrote about principles around investing and just principles around general money management. So that's a 2-parter that we've recently aired. The week after Valentine's Day, we are airing an interview with Dr. Fatuhi, F-O-U-T-H-I, Dr. Majid Fatuhi. He's a brain doctor, and he talks about how to have better brain health. And surprise, surprise, it's a lot of the same things that you would do for your heart, you also do for your brain. So
I wonder if there's a name for that, or does he just call himself a brain doctor?
A neurologist.
I'm a brain doctor. I mean, that says everything. You don't need a different title.
Exactly.
Brain doctor. Yes. Well, David, thanks for being a brainiac. How about that? and creating the 1% Better Conference. Tell us, but besides the amazing Joe Saul-Sehy, who's going to be on that stage, you've got some other fun people that are joining us, and tell everybody kind of what they expect if they're with us on February 21st, 22nd.
Yeah, we've got, I think, about 8 speakers now lined up. So, but it's going to be very interactive, kind of a small event is the plan. But besides you, we have, like, say, my partner, he's a former TED speaker talking about the power of failure, embracing that and learning new things. And we have some improv exercises, some people that do full-time improv. And we have topics like resilience. Another speaker that she was a TED speaker last year talking about being a disruptor. Like being a disruptor in your own mind and being a disruptor in your community in a positive way. And so that's something that's I think we all can do, kind of get out of the funk and try something new. So for communication, there's got quite a few different speakers that got lined up, mental health, resilience. So I think it's a little bit of money talk, but a lot of life talk. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Kind of small interactive event, February 21st, 22nd. And go to sparkfinancialwellness.com. It's the website. It's got the conference on there. And so we're looking forward to that. I know it's cold here in Omaha, but it's cold everywhere. So might as well come. It's attached to the casino, so you can go over to the casino and have a little fun there.
Be with a warm group of people.
Yeah, there you go. So thanks.
And the evening of the 20th, we're going to do a meetup. We're going to do a 1% Better meets the Stacking Benjamins Omaha Community Meetup. So I can't wait for that. And then, David, maybe we'll play some games on the 21st as well.
There you go. I'm looking forward to it. Again, like your book tour came through. We played some board games then.
We had so much fun. That was so fun. All right, everybody. That's going to do it for today. Big thanks to everybody who hung out with us today on YouTube. You guys cracked me up, and your comments were fantastic. If you're not watching us on YouTube, if you're in the audio audience and you want to be a part of the show, come join us. We do the shows Monday afternoons, 3:30 Eastern time, and do the math on where you are at in the United States. But that's most Mondays. We're here creating the show that you'll see or hear on Friday. All right. That's going to do it for today. Doug, man, you're bringing it home. What should we have learned on today's episode?
Well, Joe, first, take some advice from our resident comedian, David Gillis. Heed the advice of your inner circle, because after all, you're good enough, you're smart enough, and gosh darn it, people probably like you. Second, take a note from Paula. Block all the socials on your phone. The upside is you'll be addicted to the cow milking app in a heartbeat. Oh, it's real, and it's glorious.
No way.
It's real. Go look it up. But the big lesson? Great news. I was able to negotiate a huge allowance raise from Joe's mom. She just said she's going to, wait for it, because this is so awesome, triple what she's giving me now. Wait a minute. Paula's cocking her head like, wait, so carry the one. Thanks to David Gillis for joining us today. Join David and Joe at David's 1% Better Conference happening February 21st and 22nd in Omaha. Omaha! Plus, we'll also include links in our show notes at stackingbenjamins.com. Thanks to Paula Pant for hanging out with us today. You'll find her fabulous podcast, Afford Anything, wherever you listen to the finest podcasts. And finally, thanks to OG for joining us today. Looking for good financial planning help? Head to stackingbenjamins.com/OG for his calendar. This show is the property of SB Podcasts, LLC, copyright 2026, and is created by Joe Saul-Sehy. You'll find out about our awesome team at stackingbenjamins.com, along with the show notes and how you can find us on YouTube and all the usual social media spots. Come say hello. Oh yeah, and before I go, not only should you not take advice from these nerds, don't take advice from people you don't know. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Before making any financial decisions, speak with a real financial advisor. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and we'll see you next time back here at the Stacking Benjamin Show.
What was that?
It's called the medium sketch.
The medium sketch?
Yeah, it wasn't rare and it certainly wasn't well done.